Hello gamers. Right, we're going to talk about the Scholar, and before I start the video I just want to say that I think the Scholar is a fantastic character. He's very fun, and I have had more fun playing with him than I have playing with the Undertaker, and the Undertaker is right up my street. She's a fun character, she's strong, she plays Faith, she's just everything that I love doing in the game. That being said, I have had more fun playing with the Scholar than I have the Undertaker. In fact, I've played with the Scholar more than I've played with the Undertaker, purely because he is fundamentally more difficult to use, and he also takes a lot more brain power to use, but also his kit is very unique and it's very different. That being said, I do think he's a little bit bad. Now, generally speaking, he's a support character, that's his role, so obviously he shines when he's in a team. Playing him solo is... it's very arduous, it's a big task, and his kit doesn't really support solo play. And that's totally fine, you know, we are playing a game that is intended to be a team game, but unfortunately, some of the things around his kit, they do make him a little bit bad. Now, the major one for me is filling up the bar, filling up his analyze character skill. It takes so long, even with his personal relicon and jumping in and out of the analyze skill, it just takes so long. If you didn't know, it has 3 levels, level 1, level 2, level 3. Level 1, it gives the boss a 10% attack reduction. Level 2 gives the boss a 20% attack reduction, which is insane. Level 3 gives the boss 20% attack reduction, and it also lowers the boss's defenses. I've been told 40%, but from my testing, it worked around to about 60%. So 40 to 60%, which is obviously insane if it lasted for more than one attack. Now, lowering the boss's defenses from anywhere from 40 to 60% over a period of time would obviously be insanely broken. So that's why it's only allowed for one attack, I would assume. But basically that just means in solo play, it's almost never worth going for the full 3 bars, because the Scholar isn't going to do much damage off one attack. It doesn't matter what he's using, none of his attacks are going to do that much damage, because he has high arcane and every other one of his stats are fairly low. Even if you add Shattering Crystal, he's only got a C in intelligence, so it means it wouldn't do that much damage from one of them. So yeah, it's almost never worth going to the full 3 bars in solo play for the Scholar, because it just gets you into too much trouble, and it's really not that worth it for one attack. Now, in team play, if you were using a team and you had like a really strong recluse, then I could see it being worth it for one attack. But again, even so, I feel like the amount of times you get into trouble trying to get to the 3 bars, I feel like it's just not worth it. Now, the only caveat to that is getting to the full 3 bars, obviously you get access to his parry mechanic, the bubble that bursts, and it knocks over most enemies. That is insane, especially for team play, because it gives you the chance to just pile on an enemy when they're on the floor, because it knocks most enemies down. So, getting to the full 3 bars for that parry is obviously insane, but realistically, to do more damage, you want to be lowering the boss's defense and lowering their attack to keep your team alive. So, there's give and takes with that. The parry is insane, but realistically, you want to be using the L2 more, especially in trio play or, you know, duo play or in a team. The parry is really good solo, because it gives you a chance to put some damage out while on the floor. But yeah, his analyze skill for me, it just takes a little bit too long to get to the 3 bars. I don't think it's worth it for a lot of time in solo play. It could be better. Even with his personal relicon, it could be better. Right, enough of the analyze skill. Let's talk about his backcraft. This is also one that I think definitely needs some rework. He is an item character. He is based around support, based around using items. Why does he start with only 4 bags? He should have a minimum 5 bags, but I would like to see 6 bags default on him. Is the bag crafter, he can craft all the items, but he can't craft 2 more bags. It just, to me, it seems a little bit stupid to start him with only 4 bags, the same as every other Nightfarer. Now, obviously, you can start the expedition with, you know, an extra bag, and then you can buy a bag when you get to the merchant. If the big merch is there, you can buy another bag, which, you know, end up with having 7 bags. You shouldn't have to do that. You should start with more bags so you can hoard more items and essentially just help him level up quicker and have more access to more items, which is going to help the team across the board. But shopping for Gucci bags aside, the merchants, they're terrible. Every merchant sells pretty much the same item unless it's the big merch, and then the big merch sells the same items with a few more items that are going to be just as useless. Why does every merchant only sell firepots? Each merchant should have different types of firepots. Some can sell lightning, some can sell holy, some can sell fire. Some can sell boiled crabs, some can sell exalted flesh. You know, just mix it up a little bit. Or, here's a better one, if you're playing with the Scholar, When he goes to a merchant, give him access to every item that you can use. Obviously, I don't mean like stone sword keys and stuff like that, but every item that you're going to use, like, you know, fire pots, ball crabs, starlight shards, those kind of items there. Give him access to all of them. It will just make him a better and more fun and easier to use character. Instead of having to run into camp to camp, especially when you're in trios, if you're trying to get through the new map with a team and you know, especially if you're playing with randoms, you're going to get left behind because you're running around camps trying to get items, trying to level up the items to help the team in later game, which you will be a big help later game. But no one wants to stand around while you're picking up an item to use it to level it up when they could be killing, you know, an enemy and getting 10, 20,000 runes. So yeah, the item situation I think desperately needs reworking. Now, when I'm on a team, if I'm playing with someone who's playing the Scholar, I will run around and I will, you know, pinpoint items for them. I will even pick up items for them and drop them when we're stopping and stuff like that. But most players aren't going to do that because they just want to get to the next enemy, get some runes, get a level up to make sure they're going to be okay for day one boss and, you know, so on and so forth. But on that, let's lead from there into his final ultimate ability, the Communion, because it does go hand in hand with what I was just saying. When you are farming early game, there is nothing better than having his Communion skill, because essentially it threads all the enemies together, all the trash mobs, and you can then just take them out in 1 or 2 hits by the team just piling on them, rather than having to spend like a minute taking out a certain group of enemies. If your Scholar isn't there because he's running from camp to location to POI to pick up items to get the items he's going to need to level up for the game, you're going to miss out on all these runes that are farming. And yeah, it's just going to be useless for the first part of the run because he's, you know, trying to get all his items leveled up to, because he will be helpful in the later, you know, end of the run. But if he's not there to help out in the early run, you may not even make it to the later part of the game. So yeah, I just think the item shop desperately needs to change. The bags, I do think he needs 1 or 2 more bags. And then yeah, I do think the analyze skill just needs to be sped up a little bit. That's my thought on his abilities. Now, outside of that, I don't actually think there's anything else wrong with him. A lot of people are complaining about his role. I think his role's fine. It doesn't seem to be as bad as the Recluse's, and I know the Recluse has the most iframes, but her role generally is quite bad. It just gets you into a lot of trouble. The way she rolls, it doesn't really get you out of melee range if you were fighting someone melee, especially when you're playing solo. Like, it's very hard to position yourself to then have a melee attack after. Not that you'd want to ever have an melee attack with the Recluse, but there is times where you need to do stuff like that. So that's why her role is quite bad. I don't think the Scholar's role is as bad as that. I don't have the data on that yet. I haven't even loaded Smithbox to look at the new DLC data. So I don't think his role's that bad. Obviously, his damage is an issue, but again, status is king. If you're playing the Scholar, you should only be playing status. Anything outside of status is pointless because he's not going to do any damage at all. Is he someone you would pick on a comp team? I think there are going to be scenarios where he's definitely going to be used. Like if you were playing the Balancers maybe in a comp team and you had a strong team, you could link all the enemies together and you could take them out very fast and do a lot of damage that way. Outside of that, he's never going to replace Iron. He's not going to replace, you know, someone who's going to be a tank like Wilder, Raider, the Guardian. I mean, he may replace the Guardian because, you know, the Guardian hasn't been buffed since like the first patch of the game. So yeah, I'm not sure. Is he an amazing player? Definitely not. Is he still very fun, though, and very unique? Yeah. Should you stop playing him? Definitely not. He's probably the most unique character we've ever had in a From Software game, and he is lots of fun. It just takes a lot of work to actually play him. So, gamers, that is my thought on the Scholar. There's not really much else to say about him. He is very fun. I don't think you should ever play him as an in character. You should just pick the Recluse or pick the Duchess. Heck, even pick the Revenant. She's a better in-player than he is. And if you wanted to play an Arcane character, you're probably just better off sticking with the Executor. If you want someone who's complex and fun and maybe brings something a bit different to the team, then yeah, play the Scholar. I personally really enjoy him. So, gamers, that is pretty much it for me. Stay safe, big love, peace.